So here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio, number 99. We're almost close to 100, and at 100, I might start doing some interviews. I have some lined up. People have been asking me, hey, can I get on your podcast? And I've been so selective. It's unbelievable. I'm just saying no, maybe, yeah, maybe. It's kind of like, sometimes when I talk to dentists and I talk about what I do, and they never specifically say no, but they go, oh yeah, let me think about that. It's usually no. It's like your patients, right? Yeah, let me think about that. Yeah, can you give me an estimate on how much that would be? Yeah, okay, yeah, let me think about that. I'm going to talk to my wife. I'm going to talk to my husband. That's a no. But no, I'm really excited about doing those, and I have some really good interviews lined up to kind of put them in between episodes that I'm still doing. And I know from viewers and listeners, viewers of the two podcast episodes that I actually did videos for, listeners of the podcast, they've said, we really appreciate the fact that these things are short and it's a refreshing voice. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words and the reviews and the ratings and all that stuff. And I encourage you guys, it helps me immensely if you could leave a review and a rating on the podcast. It helps my, obviously the downloads increase because it gets more exposure. So that would be greatly appreciated. What I want to do today is talk a little bit about an experience that I had this weekend. I was in Rhode Island speaking for a office regarding the dental sales secrets process. And it was the first time that it actually wasn't a client of mine. It was a client of a management group, Dental Management 360, Tara Menard. And, she asked me, hey, would you be willing to come speak to one of my clients? And I said, I'd love to. I was humbled, honored. It was the first time that I've spoke for another client of a group. And it was frankly humbling, to be honest. Just to have that opportunity. And, you're always really nervous you're nervous about speaking to your own clients because you want to deliver, but you're really nervous if you're speaking to a paying client for another person that's paying you to come speak to their client. I mean, it kicks it up a notch. And so I really wanted to deliver maximum value. And we went for 8 hours pretty much straight. We had a little bit of a lunch break, but it was 8 hours of intense. I was throwing everything at them, but I also wanted to give them some action steps to take away in their practice. So it was a deep, deep dive into just a few elements of the dental sales secrets process. And we kind of skimmed over one. We went into 4 in depth, and there's 10 of them, and it was 8 hours. And we just barely scratched the surface. And, I got done, and I was humbled, and I'd love to get this testimonial, but, the doctor that was there, he said, I've been doing dentistry. He's a 70-year-old dentist. His son's also in the practice. He said, I've been doing dentistry for 40 years. I've been doing a lot of conferences, and I've listened to some of the giants, Roger Levin, Linda Miles, and your style and the way that you presented and the content of what you presented today was some of the best I've ever seen. So toot, toot goes my horn. But the reality was it was humbling. I've really only been speaking now to groups for less than a year with dental sales secrets. I've spoken to other groups, but nothing about the dental sales secrets process and what I've learned and how I apply it in my practice and how people can apply it in theirs. So it was humbling. And when you go for 8 hours, you can lose people pretty quick. So I did my best to keep the audience engaged, the energy up, and it gets really hard when they're eating Like some people were eating fish that was like 2 pounds of fish. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're up in Rhode Island. I had oysters for the first time. Well, actually, it was the second time, and there was a reason that it took me so long to have the second time. I think the first time I had bad oysters, and I was like, oh, these are awful. These ones in Rhode Island were not awful. They were actually freaking amazing. So it was really good. Great food. But this podcast, I wanted to give you some actual value and content. And I wanted to talk about something I'm seeing in the dental industry a lot, and how I best learn. And maybe this is how you best learn. And unfortunately, I think what's happening is we're diverging away from how people are learning best. I remember when I was way back when, 5 years ago, when I was first in practice ownership, I deep dove into a few things. One was Bob Proctor, and I still deep dive into that. I study Bob Proctor every day. Two, so I started a deep dive into Spear. I really studied everything clinically that I could, and that led me to other paths. And then with my practice management, I deep dove into Mike Schuster's material. And now I'm deep diving into some other coaches. But what I started to study is, how did I actually implement things in my practice, and when didn't I implement things in my practice? And what I learned was the stuff that I actually modeled after and was successful in implementing, it's because I literally listened to the same things over and over and over and over and over again, and I beat that into my subconscious mind, but I also took action on it. And Spear called it an ecosystem of learning. And so if you ever look at how some of the really brilliant programs, the way they're designed is to give you elements in all different audio form, video form, group discussions, coaching calls, team workshops, team intensives, and everything is functioning around a core concept or a core value system. And if you get into it and you really dig in and you shut off everything else, this is the problem that I see a lot of dentists make, is they go, I'm going to learn from this person and this person and this person and this person and this person. And that's great. Just don't try to do it all at once. Nothing meaningful will actually happen. You'll actually get confused. I see this in the technical aspect of dentistry. This is where dentists fail almost all the time. They go, I'm going to learn from this guy and this guy and this guy and this girl and this girl and this guy and this girl. And all of a sudden you look at their practice and it's a mess. And you go, well, what happened? Well, I learned this from this and this from this and this from this. And have you implemented any of it? No, I'm just really confused. That's what happens. So if you're going to learn something, make a commitment and a decision. I'm going to learn how to be the best at this. Like for me, it was relationship-based practice, smaller practice, more a fee-for-service oriented practice where we did some high-end dentistry and really dig into that model. I can't do that and then also have 6 different practices and 14 associates. The models are totally different. So I found people that were doing what it is I wanted to do, and then I copied them, but I relentlessly copied them. I went in and I started to dig into everything that I possibly could, and I listened to, some of my mentors 15 hours a day. I just literally have it on headphones. I just, everybody probably thought I was nuts, but it got ingrained in me and became a habit pattern. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you do that, then you go to another mentor, and then you relentlessly learn that. But now you have 2 mentors that you probably relentlessly studied and you internalized, and now this is where the magic happens. That material synthesizes itself, and I've seen this happen in my own life after 5 years of studying somebody and then not studying it, but staying in touch with it, but not necessarily relentlessly studying it. All of a sudden, the material starts to synthesize in a new form, and that is when you have your magic. That's when you go, oh, yeah, this is it. You form your own, whether for me, it's been taking all these mentors in the coaching element and the dental element and putting them together, and now I have platforms and programs that I teach dentists with that I think are unique and different, even though I've learned from everyone else. It's the synthesis of the material that makes it unique and different. And I've had people that have studied, the same people that I've studied, and they go through my program and they go, I know all this, but this is profoundly different than what I've learned before it. And it's actually the same stuff. And I said, yeah, because I'm taking the synthetic imagination and putting it into use here, and I'm able to take these elements and then apply something new. And that's when magic happens in your practice. And the reason I bring this up is because there is such a push right now for webinars, case studies, group coaching models, where you have 16 different coaches talking to you at one time, and dentists think that's the answer. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not calling anybody out on it, but I'm saying sometimes that compounds the problem, because now you have 16 voices with different practice philosophies and ideas, and it gets very, very hard. And I've learned this the hard way. I've actually tried to study both ways, and I looked at things that I was successful with, and why was I successful? It's literally because I had one mentor in my ear talking to me all the time. Now, the key for you, the listener, is to find the mentor that's doing what you want to do. If it's a practice, right? If it's a coaching model or mentor in the dental space, and you have a practice that you want to recreate, go find somebody that's doing what it is you want to do, or emulate something that they're really, really good at that you want to learn. Right? Maybe you might look at a coach for team development and leadership, but not necessarily for their practice style. So go study everything they have on team development and leadership, but not necessarily the practice style, but be relentless with it and shut off everything else. Like right now I'm studying 2 people, and that's it. Bob Proctor, Sam Ovens. Like, that's it. And all I do is literally listen to the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And when I feel like I literally can't learn anything more, then I'll move on. And it's profound how much that can change your learning style. And so even the way that I've built Dental Sales Secrets, for example, I have an online program, a coaching program, like a Q&A session every week, the online program, the team workshop, and I'm continually building around the core elements of what the coaching is all about, so that I can constantly get in front of my clients and give them the information that they need to take their practice to the next level. I need to continually bathe them in the material, because that's how I learn. So I need to teach other people that could be for you. And some dentists said, well, no, I just want to learn a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different people. That's cool, but just understand that's probably not going to get you where you need to go. So as you're studying and you're learning, find people that you gravitate to. I know I've talked about this probably 5 or 6 times on the podcast series to this point, but I'm going to keep hitting this point home, because this is where most people make the mistake. We are living in an attention shortened spanned world, if that even makes sense. And so your ability to focus on 1 or 2 things is vital to your success. As the attention spans get shorter and shorter, your ability to keep your attention span focused on one thing longer and longer will equal success. Because if the masses are doing one thing, your ability to do something else is usually the shortcut to success. Just keep that in mind as you're studying. Find an ecosystem of learning, if you will. Go dig into that material. And as you dig into that material, you can get to a point where you go, oh my gosh, this makes all the more sense. And you've given your practice room to breathe into that model and really make it your own. And that is where the magic happens. So hopefully you got value out of this video. Hopefully you got value out of this podcast episode. I just shot some videos for Dental Sales Secrets earlier today, so apologize. This is a podcast episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to see you at the next episode, number 100. I want you to be there. I want you to celebrate with me. And I have no idea what I'm going to do for the 100th episode, but it's going to be really, really cool. So take care, and I'll see y'all soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.